Saw this, it really grabbed my heart and my soul, and I knew this was the hula that I was looking for.
For 19-year-old Kapua, the dance is also a way of life.
Beautiful.
That was how she immediately won over the photographer.
When I dance hula, I dance it from my heart, always. Each motion, there's a specific meaning, and because I know the Hawaiian language, I can, interpret it in my head and show it throughout my entire body, not only my hands, my feet, but my face and my body language, mostly my eyes as well. You can see my emotion through it.
I came from Southern California, where it's very fast-paced, and Hollywood and all of that, and freeways and people driving 80 miles an hour. This is a place where you can relax and really get in touch with yourself. The people here in Hawaii are so giving and so welcoming that it's a very, very special place to live.
It's no coincidence that Kim Taylor Reese chose to open his studio on Hula Street. For 25 years now, this subject has been the sole focus of his work. His photos are famous all over the world, and they've won many awards, partly because they breathe new life into a half-forgotten element of Hawaiian culture.
Actually, I did a lot of research in the Bishop Museum for 3 years, and I looked at all of the old photographs and the early drawings from Captain Cook and the first people that came to Hawaii that recorded visually what the dances were. And I tried to take those costumes and those outfits and adapt that to my hula. Right now, there's nobody that's dancing like that these days, but it was that type of costuming and that type of research and stuff that I wanted to take, and I think a lot of people in Hawaii learned or saw my pictures and went back and studied the earlier dancers and the early costumes. And for me, that was really rewarding, that my work could inspire them to go do more investigation and learn more about the hula.
Reese always photographs the hula in black and white, because he's colorblind. The advantage is it makes the viewer concentrate wholly on the subject. It also means his photos look a little like something from another age. The renaissance of Hawaiian culture is apparent in all kinds of little things and in many places around Oahu. However much the island, and especially its capital Honolulu, strive to keep pace with the modern world. Keith Purdy is visiting his old school, a kind of elite institution that's always regarded the preservation of Hawaiian identity as its mission.
Good morning. I'm amazed this morning. Yeah! Oh, welcome.
Its famous alumnus is living proof of its success in nurturing artistic talent. Keith began his musical career here, at the Kamehameha School. To this day, it's still a rule that every student must have one native Hawaiian parent. And music is still considered a mainstay of the local culture.
Is that your boy?
Coming back here is a moving experience for Keith. Many young people dream of trying their luck on the mainland and further afield, as he did, and then returning home one day. Today, Keith is able to tell them a bit about his experiences.
The Hawaiian song that the girls sang, it's, I think, one of my favorite songs. And I have never heard this song recorded by a solo or with, instrumentals. It's only in this arrangement, this choral arrangement. And only the women, the girls do it. So it's, brought back memories. And because it was one of the things that when I was in school that the girls did. And so, crying like a fool back there.
High above the city, Keith reminisces about his childhood, about growing up on Oahu, and what the island used to be like.
I remember when my parents first moved out there on top of the mountain, between where they lived and all the way to the end of where the next mountain range. At the very end of the mountain range was an Air Force installation and a little bit of housing, but everything in between was sugarcane fields. So at night, it was all black, and then you saw way, way, way out there these tiny little lights. But now it's just from lights all the way. So that changed a lot, and good, bad, I don't know. But I liked it when it was less, was more natural land.
Keith wants to go and see his mother. They haven't seen each other in a long time. The old lady has been living in a modern housing development for many years now. Nonetheless, for Keith, the visit is still a trip down memory lane.
Yeah, it's my father. But this is very old too. That's me over here. That was my brother. My sister, she was a little bit smaller back then. Yeah, different times. So it's a little bit strange because so many things have changed, at least at by my mom's house and things like that. So it's a little weird, but it's life. Nothing changes. It stays the same.
Okay. Now that she sees you, she's okay.
Fidelia Purdy was the one who taught Keith the most important lesson in life, the fundamental Hawaiian values of aloha, mutual respect, respect for life, and humility. She also recognized his musical talent early on and made it possible for him to have the expensive training that nurtured his talent as a singer. But Fidelia, now 76, never imagined that her son would become a star, performing at some of the most famous opera houses in the world, and that in doing so, he'd become an ambassador for her island. Like the surfers, who've had such a lasting influence on Hawaii's image throughout the world. It's a cliché, but it's true. The archipelago is considered a mecca for the international surfing community. And nowhere are the powerful Pacific waves more attractive to these sportsmen than on Oahu's northern shore. All the infrastructure on this narrow strip of coastline is now geared to the boards, which for many people are their whole world. Some of them even moved here because of their passion for surfing. Cole Christensen, for example. He's regarded as one of the world's best big wave surfers.
The land here is so fertile and there's so much water and anything grows here, and I've just kind of fallen into the mode of, and been lucky enough to been blessed with a piece of land. And I've worked hard to transform it into something that, gives me and my family and friends food. And in return, we work the land and take care of it. Try our hardest to use what we have and the space that we have to create a working environment with friends and other people that come and help, and we can share and grow food and eat the food together.
5 years ago, Cole bought his own little piece of Oahu, right here beside those perfect waves. Today, the 33-year-old is able to reap the fruits of his labors.
Make a little smoothie, Cole.
Wow, that looks good.
Yeah.
He and his friends grow fruit and vegetables according to strict organic principles. No fertilizer or pesticide. The water for the plot comes from its own well. Solar energy provides the power. It's completely independent of public utilities. The guavas are ripe, they look great, and they taste just the way they should, completely natural.
Pretty good guava. Growing up, I never thought that I'd ever depend on surfing to make a living, but I knew that I had to pursue other things in life to make a living. And so I've always kept myself busy, whether it was building houses, or I used to commercial fish, or working on the land, farming, learning how to farm. You know, the surf isn't good all day, every day, so I find things to make up for the time when it's not good.
This year too, Cole and his friends are pleased with the harvest. They can live really well from the sale of the fruit.
Super size. What I've learned from the short time I've got this property and tried to become a farmer is that it's not as easy as it looks. You can't just throw a seed in the ground and watch it grow. I mean, in some cases you can, but there's a lot of tricks, and I'm still learning how to do it. Living here, you kind of just like get grounded. You realize that you don't need a lot in life. The simple things sometimes are the best things.
Cole has fulfilled a dream.
I couldn't imagine myself living anywhere else. I love it here. My favorite waves in the world are right down the road. And I got this beautiful mountain to look at every day, and I got the ocean right behind me. So I'm pretty happy here.
In the south of the island, Pearl Harbor is a reminder of the Japanese attack that marked the entry of the United States into World War II. Nowadays, there are other elements that require combating. Terry Kirby heads the Hawaiian Undersea Research Laboratory. Together with a team of scientists, the former stuntman is investigating the ecological problems of the Pacific Ocean, with the help of 2 state-of-the-art submarines. There are only 7 like this in the world, packed with high-tech scientific equipment. Kirby and his team plunged to a depth of up to 2,000 meters with the aim of throwing fresh light on our knowledge with their discoveries on the ocean floor. Each of their expeditions is a journey into the unknown. The team has been working together for years. One of them, marine biologist Max Kramer, is German. He first came to Hawaii as a student and became fascinated by all that lies beneath the surface of the Pacific. Soon he was hooked.
Es ist wirklich jedes Mal buchstäblich ein Eintauchen in
You're literally diving into another world every time. It's like outer space, but the space we're entering here is the world of water, which is not really what we're designed for. We need water for our everyday life, but go more than 10 meters down, and that's it.
Unterhalb von 10 Metern ist sofort Feierabend.
I haven't heard from Sam Teague. He's supposed to.
Kramers checked the technical equipment in the cockpit one last time. After the umpteenth security check, the men set off for a new research trip off the coast of Oahu. The boat leaves early because every day of work out at sea costs around $30,000. This time the crew is a little nervous because the researchers are effectively on a maiden voyage. Again.
Starboard 5.
Roger, clear. Alle 3 Jahre kommt das U-Boot völlig auseinander.
Every 3 years, the submarine is completely taken apart, right down to the last screw. Of course, the first few dives are pretty nerve-wracking then, especially if they're very deep. You're hoping everything's been put back together properly.
The technical equipment is tested one more time to make sure it's working. Terry gets into the submarine and tests the maneuverability of the steel arms. Every movement of his hand in the cockpit triggers the exact same movement in the hydraulic claw.
Like that, in that corner, and reach across, and go down. It becomes very natural, so when you're looking out there, it's just like it's an extension of your own arm.
The marine biologists accompanying Max Kramer on this dive will be using this ingenious technology to try to find out more about rising sea levels.
What we were looking for are the coral reefs that were associated with when sea level was low during the last time the planet was glaciated, about 20,000, 22,000 years ago. And there's only a couple of sites in the world where we have deposits that we know their depth relative to sea level. A lot of places you find rocks of that age, but because they're going up or the coastlines are rising, for instance, you don't really know their exact depth.
Well, I think every part of the launch is critical, and we have a team that's been doing it long enough that they make it look pretty easy, but there are a lot of really critical parts in the launch that all have to happen in a right sequence.
Relief all round. The boat seems to be working just as well as it did before it was taken to pieces. The dive begins. Max Kramer is steering the craft. As they move across the seafloor, the cameras record every meter of the journey through a mysterious cosmos.
All the different areas that we go, you never know what you're going to find. It's always something different on the bottom. And there's always new discoveries to be made. We're just fairly tapped discovery in our own deep oceans right here on our own planet.
Terry Kirby maintains contact with Max Kramer throughout the dive and determines the exact position of the submarine. Even at the bottom of the sea, it's sometimes necessary to make detours to avoid obstacles, for example.
We hope our work will help raise awareness that all is not as it should be on the ocean floor. Everywhere on the seabed you'll find plastic, things that have been washed up, that have sunk. It's really terrible how in just a few decades, oceans that used to seem never-ending have been affected in this way.
Research done on the ocean floor has already made it possible to identify and establish protection zones off the coast of Hawaii. Many people have realized that a small, limited living area like the Hawaiian archipelago calls for a particular kind of environmental awareness. In many parts of Hawaii, people are seeking a return to a life in harmony with nature. But on the other hand, the islands are also struggling with the consequences of globalization, like massive single crop farming of pineapple and sugarcane for export. At the same time, the islands have virtually ceased to be self-sufficient. These days, more than 85% of all foodstuffs are imported. And Oahu's 40 golf courses now occupy an area almost as big as that devoted to agriculture. At least some rethinking is being done in the energy sector. Many parts of the island are experiencing a boom in the construction of solar plants. Another area of work for Cole Christensen, the surfer and organic farmer. When he's not harvesting fruit or riding waves, he's busy installing solar panels.
When I first bought my property, we didn't have solar. We didn't have electricity. So what we did was we learned how to make energy from the sun. I took some courses on photovoltaic energy, solar energy, and I implemented that on our home. And I was able to produce energy, and I was just amazed by it. So we incorporated it in our construction business. And now we do, beyond building homes, we also do solar.
We don't have any abrasions in that.
They're aiming to make this settlement the first purely solar community in the United States.
This project here is a unique project. It's a landmark in sustainability. It's a net zero community, which means that there's no electricity bills on these homes. And it's for the Hawaiian people. It's funded by the Department of Hawaiian Homelands, the state. And it's going to be a very special community. You know, it's a kind of an example of what the rest of the nation could do.
In the afternoon, Cole and his brother drive to the beach because the forecast says there'll be some exciting waves off the coast today. The building site shuts down a little early. In Hawaii, pleasure definitely comes before business. Cole's never been interested in a professional surfing career. He just wants to surf the waves whenever he feels like it.
Oh, what's going on? The difference is when you're surfing for competition, you kind of have to surf for other people, it seems like. You have to please an audience, a crowd. Whereas when you're surfing by yourself, you get to go out there and act however you want. There's no pressure. You're just out there having a blast with your friends. So it's more of a lifestyle choice, and we just do it for fun. We just love to do it.
Now they're just waiting for the waves. But weather forecasts on Hawaii are generally reliable. Too many people plan their day around the wind and waves for incorrect predictions to be tolerated here.
If you're doing something for someone else, you're not doing it for yourself, you're sacrificing a lot, especially in something that you love to do.
Off the east coast of Oahu, a group of small volcanic islands. Most have now been declared bird reserves. The general public aren't allowed to come here. Meanwhile, out on the ocean, the underwater researchers have reached their destination, a reef at a depth of about 200 meters. In the navigation room, Terry Kirby is controlling the submarine's course.
Right now, we're just going to continue to track him. He's probably going to move on around this pinnacle feature right here because they're at the level right now where they found the old ancient reef. That's where they want to collect samples from that. So we're just going to stay with them and communicate with them and track them as they move around the reef. So right now everything is the way it should be, and that's the way we like it. Nice and easy.
In the cramped interior of the submarine, Max Kramer and the geologists are using the grapplers to start collecting samples of coral. Dives like these are very expensive, so the scientists want to make the best possible use of the available time. If the sea is rough when they surface, it can be very dangerous. But today it's all nice and calm. After 8 hours, the men and the capsule return to the surface. The final crucial moment, the docking maneuver. A crane lifts the submarine onto the deck of the mothership. Everyone involved is clearly relieved, and the colleagues coming up from the ocean floor are looking forward to the fresh air.
It was fairly successful. We found the fossil reefs and coral reefs Ken and Chip were looking for fairly quickly. And then we spent most of the rest of the dive gathering samples like crazy. It was always up a bit, up a bit, up a bit. Another fossil reef taking more samples. I think the two of them were pretty happy.
After 8 hours abstinence, the first thing they'd planned to do was have something to eat. But the scientists can't wait. They want to examine their samples right away. And in doing so, they make a sensational discovery.
There are only 2 or 3 locations in the world where they've actually identified where they think sea level was during the last ice age, and we think we've just added another location.
The corals will now be analyzed in the lab. Their age and condition may reveal information about changes in sea level over time. More and more Hawaiians are starting to realize that the Pacific and the natural world on the islands are their most important commodities, and that the preservation of many landscapes, unique in all the world, must be an important aspect of anything they do in the future. But on Oahu too, nature conservation and the desire for progress frequently collide. This highway is one powerful symbol of the clash of different interests. The battle over its construction went on for more than 30 years.